the misunderstood voyage setting the stage, 1492. This date often evokes images of Christopher Columbus, a visionary explorer who stumbled upon America. Yet, a shocking truth lies buried beneath centuries of popular belief. Columbus never actually set foot on the mainland of North America. How did this misconception arise, and why does it persist? Join us as we delve into the captivating world of Christopher Columbus, separating fact from fiction. Driven by an ambition to find a westward route to the East Indies, Columbus set sail with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. His expedition, funded by the Spanish monarchs, aimed to discover new trade routes and expand the Spanish Empire. Uncharted territories, a new world, but not quite North America. Columbus's voyages, while monumental, were confined to a specific region of the Americas. His 4 voyages, spanning from 1492 to 1502, primarily focused on exploring the islands of the Caribbean Sea. He landed on islands like Hispaniola, present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Jamaica, claiming them for Spain. He believed he had reached the East Indies, mistaking the indigenous inhabitants for Indians. What Columbus never realized, however, was that he had not reached the Asian mainland, but stumbled upon a vast new continental landmass. Islands in the Stream, Columbus's Caribbean adventures. Columbus, convinced he had found a westward route to the Indies, spent his voyages exploring the islands he encountered. His first landfall on October 12, 1492, was on an island he named San Salvador, now believed to be part of the Bahamas. Driven by a thirst for gold and a desire to fulfill his promise of finding a route to Asia, Columbus pressed onward. His voyages took him to larger islands like Cuba and Hispaniola, where he encountered diverse indigenous populations and cultures. Despite his conviction, Columbus never ventured beyond the archipelago of islands that make up the Caribbean. Hispaniola, the heart of Columbus's enterprise. Of all the islands he visited, Hispaniola held a particular significance for Columbus. He established the first permanent European settlement in the Americas on this island, founding the town of La Isabela in 1493. Hispaniola, with its fertile land and indigenous population, became a focal point of Spanish colonial ambitions in the Caribbean. Columbus, appointed governor of the new territories, oversaw the construction of settlements, the extraction of resources, and the interaction with the native Taino people. However, his time on the island was also marked by challenges, including conflicts with the indigenous population and internal disputes among the Spanish colonists. Despite the challenges, Columbus remained convinced of Hispaniola's importance. Columbus's voyages, while driven by a spirit of exploration, were also fueled by a desire for wealth. He had promised the Spanish monarchs gold and spices from the east, and he relentlessly sought these treasures in the lands he encountered. His interactions with the indigenous populations were often shaped by this pursuit, leading to misunderstandings and conflicts. Columbus, blinded by his belief that he had reached the Indies, misinterpreted the customs and beliefs of the native people he encountered. This fundamental misunderstanding formed the basis for the complex relationship between the Europeans and the indigenous populations in the centuries that followed. For generations, school children have been taught a simplified version of history, one that places Christopher Columbus at the heart of the American narrative. Textbooks often present his voyages as the defining moment of discovery, the event that ushered in the modern era. This simplified version, however, often overlooks crucial details and perpetuates misconceptions. The myth that Columbus discovered America, specifically North America, has been perpetuated through generations of textbooks and popular culture. Early American history, as taught in schools, often emphasized the role of European explorers in shaping the nation's identity. The rich and diverse cultures that existed in the Americas before Columbus's arrival were often overlooked or relegated to footnotes. The simplified narrative surrounding Columbus's voyages has left a legacy of confusion and misunderstanding. Many people continue to believe that Columbus discovered America, unaware of the complex history that precedes his arrival. This confusion is compounded by the fact that Columbus Day, a federal holiday in the United States, celebrates his arrival in the Americas. Critics argue that it celebrates a figure who represents colonialism, exploitation, and the displacement of indigenous populations. The debate surrounding Columbus Day reflects a broader reassessment of historical narratives and the need for a more inclusive and accurate understanding of the past. The legacy of Columbus is not simply a matter of celebrating discovery, but of confronting the lasting consequences of colonization. The power of images, how visuals shaped perceptions. The way we visualize history plays a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the past. However, images can also be misleading, especially when they are used to simplify complex narratives or reinforce existing biases. Depictions of Columbus's voyages, particularly in textbooks and popular media, have often reinforced the myth of his discovery of America. These images often omit the violence, exploitation, and cultural misunderstandings that characterize the encounter between Europeans and indigenous populations. By critically examining the images that shape our understanding of the past, we can begin to challenge these dominant narratives and develop a more nuanced and accurate view of history. Beyond the myths, a more nuanced understanding. Moving beyond the myths surrounding Columbus's voyages requires a willingness to engage with a more complex and often uncomfortable history. It means acknowledging the perspectives of indigenous peoples, recognizing the lasting legacy of colonization, and understanding the multifaceted nature of historical events. Columbus's voyages were a pivotal moment in world history, marking the beginning of sustained contact between Europe and the Americas. However, it is essential to remember that the Americas were not empty lands awaiting discovery. By moving beyond the simplistic narratives that have dominated our understanding of Columbus, we can begin to appreciate the true complexity of this historical period. Expert opinions historians weigh in on Columbus's roots. The assertion that Christopher Columbus never set foot on mainland North America is not a matter of speculation, but a well-established fact supported by historians and experts worldwide. Distinguished historians like Samuel Eliot Morison and J.H. Perry have meticulously researched and documented Columbus's voyages, confirming that his explorations were confined to the Caribbean islands and the coast of South America. These experts, through careful examination of primary sources, including Columbus's own journals and letters, have provided a clear understanding of his roots and the geographical limits of his travels. Their work debunks the popular myth of Columbus as the discoverer of North America, highlighting the importance of relying on accurate historical evidence rather than romanticized narratives. Mapping the truth cartographic evidence and Columbus's voyages. Cartographic evidence provides further support to the historical consensus regarding Columbus's voyages. Maps created during and after Columbus's time clearly depict the distinction between the Caribbean islands, which Columbus explored, and the vast landmass of North America, which remained unexplored by Europeans during his lifetime. These maps, often based on the latest navigational knowledge and explorations, serve as visual testaments to the geographical boundaries of Columbus's travels. For example, the Juan de la Cosa map, created in 1500, is one of the earliest surviving maps depicting the Americas. This map, drawn by a cartographer who sailed with Columbus on his second voyage, clearly shows the Caribbean islands visited by Columbus, but depicts North America as a separate landmass, unconnected to Columbus's discoveries. Beyond the horizon explorers who did reach North America. While Columbus is widely celebrated for his voyages to the Americas, it is crucial to acknowledge the explorers who actually reached the mainland of North America, predating Columbus's arrival or exploring regions beyond his reach. Among these explorers, John Cabot, an Italian navigator sailing under the English flag, is credited with reaching the coast of North America in 1497. Cabot's voyage, commissioned by King Henry VII of England, aimed to find a shorter route to Asia by sailing westward. His expedition landed somewhere on the coast of North America, likely in present-day Canada, marking the first documented European exploration of the North American mainland since the Norse voyages to Vinland centuries earlier. Another notable explorer is Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian navigator who made several voyages to the Americas in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. The Cabot Voyage, a closer look at John Cabot's exploration of North America. John Cabot's voyage in 1497, though less celebrated than Columbus's expeditions, holds a significant place in the annals of exploration. Commissioned by King Henry VII of England to seek a westward route to Asia, Cabot set sail from Bristol with his ship, the Matthew, and a crew of 18 men. His voyage, unlike Columbus's Caribbean explorations, took him across the North Atlantic, ultimately leading him to the shores of North America. While the exact location of Cabot's landfall remains a subject of debate among historians, it is generally believed to have been somewhere on the coast of Newfoundland or Nova Scotia in present-day Canada. Cabot's explorations, though brief, provided the first documented European accounts of the North American mainland since the Norse voyages, challenging the notion that Columbus was the sole pioneer of transatlantic exploration. The contrast between Columbus's findings in the Caribbean and the North American mainland underscores their distinction. Columbus encountered island societies in the Caribbean, shaped by unique environments. The North American mainland had diverse cultures with sophisticated social structures. The Aztecs and Incas rivaled European societies in complexity and achievements. Columbus's focus on gold blinded him to the richness of the societies he encountered. Despite the historical fact that Columbus never set foot on mainland North America, his name continues to hold a prominent place in the annals of exploration. This enduring legacy stems from a complex interplay of factors, including the historical context of his voyages, the power of established narratives, and the symbolism attached to his name. Columbus's voyages, though mistaken in their geographical objectives, occurred at a pivotal moment in European history, marking the beginning of sustained contact between Europe and the Americas. His expeditions, funded by the Spanish crown, ushered in an era of European expansionism, leading to the colonization of the Americas and the transformation of the global landscape. The narrative of Columbus as a visionary explorer who discovered America, though inaccurate, took root in the centuries following his voyages and became deeply embedded in popular consciousness. This narrative, reinforced through textbooks, monuments, and holidays, solidified Columbus's place in history, often overshadowing the contributions of other explorers and the perspectives of indigenous peoples. Columbus's voyages ignited an age of exploration that reshaped the world. His expeditions inspired European powers to seek new trade routes and territories. Explorers like Magellan and da Gama established new trade routes and charted unknown coastlines. Columbus's voyages had far-reaching consequences for indigenous populations. The Columbian exchange profoundly impacted global ecosystems, diets, and cultures. The Age of Exploration marked a turning point in world history, expanding European empires and global trade. The revelation that Christopher Columbus never set foot on mainland North America speaks to a larger truth. The narratives we inherit are often more complex and nuanced. The story of Columbus, often presented as a straightforward tale of discovery, unravels upon closer examination. We create space to recognize explorers like John Cabot and Amerigo Vespucci, whose contributions have often been overshadowed. Moving beyond the Columbus myth allows us to appreciate the rich and diverse tapestry of indigenous cultures in the Americas. The legacy of Christopher Columbus remains a subject of ongoing debate and reflection. His voyages, while geographically limited by his own misconceptions, ushered in an era of profound global transformation, forever altering the course of history. However, this legacy is inextricably intertwined with the darker aspects of European colonialism, including the displacement, exploitation, and cultural decimation of indigenous populations. Reconciling these contrasting aspects of Columbus's legacy requires a nuanced and critical perspective, one that acknowledges both the achievements and the transgressions of the past. It demands a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about our shared history and to engage in open and honest dialogue about the lasting impacts of colonialism. Ultimately, the story of Columbus serves as a powerful reminder that history is not a static monolith, but a dynamic and evolving narrative, shaped by the perspectives of those who write it and those who inherit it. By embracing a more inclusive and critical approach to understanding the past, we can ensure that the narratives we pass on to future generations are more accurate, nuanced, and reflective of the full tapestry of human experience.